What is up, lads? Welcome back to the Brewcast, and today we've got a very special episode that I'm super excited for. Guys, it's finally time. Okay, this weekend it's going to be Covington versus Masvidal. I'm super excited. This is the official prediction, guys. Okay, it's been a while since we've had a good grudge match in the martial arts industry, okay? Whether it's boxing, whether it's MMA. It's been a while, guys, and there is a reason why this fight is blowing something like Francis Ngannou versus Cyril Gane out of the water, guys. There is a reason why. It is just so marketable. Okay, these two guys have been doing press. They've been getting around. They've been basically doing everything they can to sell this fight, and it is phenomenal listening to them tune each other, okay? We've got Colby. We've got Colby. Okay, the American stud muffin, the Trump supporter, okay, the absolute unit, okay, whose ground game is phenomenal. Obviously, he comes from a wrestling background, and he's got striking skills too. And then we've got Jorge. Both of them are coming off losses against Kamaru, the Nigerian scammer Usman. Both of them, their last fight was a title fight against him. It's quite fantastic. It's unheard of that, guys who are both coming off losses are like almost breaking pay-per-view records. It's quite special, and this fight is quite special, guys. But I want to get into a little bit into the predictions here. Obviously, we all know the story, why they're grudging, why they've got this feud going on. Obviously, Masvidal says, no, Colby screwed over our striking coach and refused to pay him, his 5%, and Colby has been tuning everybody. No, actually, Jorge is a deadbeat dad. I never didn't pay my coach. They just had the wrong idea about how much I was supposed to pay, etc., etc. These guys have been grudging and grudging. Obviously, guys, if you've watched this channel, you'll know I'm a Colby fan. Even though I don't hate Masvidal and I was rooting for him against Usman, I'm definitely more of a Colby guy. What I will say, and this is where it gets interesting, guys. Obviously, I think most people agree Colby's the favorite. Purely because I think if it goes to the ground, there's no question that he's going to win. The question, though, is he going to take it to the ground? Or is this going to become a slug match? And I am hoping, honestly, I want this to be a slug match. I want this to be a boxing match, really. That's what I really want. If I could have my ideal world, I'd have this be a 12-round, 3-minute round boxing fight. But, I can't have that. But I'm hoping we see a boxing match. And the reason why is because I'm going to talk a little bit now about the fact that we're talking about an open stance fight here, right? Obviously, Colby fights in southpaw, and Jorge fights orthodox. Now, Colby does switch, but most of the time he's in southpaw. And I want to look at a few interesting things from their last couple of fights. So I went and rewatched Colby versus Usman 2. And what I noticed that was quite interesting, and this is something I'd really like to see out of Colby, leading with that left hand, right? In boxing, this is one of the fantastic things if you're a southpaw. And if you're orthodox, it works too, but if you're in open stances, leading with the rear hand is an absolute fantastic way. As long as your front foot is on the outside of the opponent's front foot, that lands phenomenally. And then, obviously, that right hook if you're a southpaw over the top, right? But I think Colby, since he's the dominant wrestler, since Jorge's going to not want to be taken to the ground, using that leading with the left, bam, and then dropping straight to something like a double leg if he needs to. The fact is, I don't think George is going to take the risk if Colby leads with the left, of trying to stay in the pocket and have a close boxing fight because Colby can take him to the ground. This is just honestly what I think. I might be completely wrong about this. Let me know what you guys think again in the comments. Because if it goes to the ground, I think everybody agrees Colby's got him, right? Colby's a way more dominant wrestler. Masvidal can be a little sleek when it comes to getting out of submissions, but really at the end of the day, I think Colby would just hold him down. Another thing we've got to consider here Is it going to last the full 5 rounds, or is it going to be ended quickly? And honestly, I think what's likely, I mean, Colby's obviously talked about knocking Masvidal out, Masvidal's talked about knocking them out and making them suffer and whatnot, but you know, a lot of that is sort of show and tell, and at the end of the day, when it comes to Colby, he is there to win because he wants that 3rd title match against Usman. And what I'm thinking is, if it goes to decision, what are we going to be looking at here? Right? I think it is likely, because this is a grudge match. Both of these guys are hard. Both of these guys can take shots, right? We've seen Colby take shots off Usman, for example, and just stay in there for 5 rounds, right? We've seen Jorge was knocked out by Usman in his last fight, obviously, but he's always had a good chin. But what is the effect that last fight against Usman is going to have on him mentally when it comes to his chin, when it comes to his confidence? If it has any, but if it doesn't have an impact, we're probably going to be looking, if this fight stays on the feet, at a good 5-round fight, right? And if it's going to go to the ground, it'll likely be a submission, right? Those are the 2 ways that I see the fight ending, right? Is we're going to be looking either at submission before the 5 rounds, or we're going to be looking at a 5-round 2 decision, unless somebody lands that lucky shot. And this is why, again, I think that leading with that left hand can be really important, because this throws off a lot of people who aren't used to fighting open stance. And I will say, guys, everybody knows since I'm boxing, bro, I don't like the constant switching of the legs in MMA. And I don't like it in boxing either. I think people should generally stay in your stance because you'll always fight better that way. But leading with that left hand is a very interesting way of making up distance, being able to switch from that level change and go to a takedown. And also, it's a really interesting knockout punch. Purely because if you've got the right positioning with the feet, you've basically got a straight line right down the middle to your target. So what I'm wondering is, what are the chances that we see a knockout here in the early rounds? And I think it could happen, but I will say I think it's more likely. At the end of the day, when it comes to the stand-up guys, George, I think, has got Colby, generally speaking. Well, you know, from a striking standpoint, obviously, but this is similar to like what we see almost in a, you know, sort of a Khabib versus McGregor situation, only in the sense that Khabib was landing shots on McGregor because the threat of the takedown is there, right? It's the same sort of situation here. So even though Masvidal is obviously better with his hands, the fact that that threat of the takedown is there means we can see another situation like with Usman, where Usman knocked Jorge out with a very basic combo, but he was able to do that because the threat of the threat of the takedown was always there. And at the end of the day, the last place you want to be with Usman is face down on the ground, right? That's just the fact of it. So in terms of the striking situation, the fact that there's an open stance, I actually think if Colby utilizes it correctly, it can really help him in terms of pressure, right? And in terms of keeping Masvidal on his toes. But end of the day, guys, my prediction is we're going to be looking at either, if it stays on the feet, it's going to go the distance, or end later rounds, or if it goes to ground, I think it's going to be a submission situation. That's what I think. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Guys, please like and subscribe to the Brewcast, okay? This YouTube channel is all about masculine self-improvement, and that's why we still cover fighting in MMA, because being able to fight is essential to becoming the best man you can be. Guys, I'll see you next time.